it's Dalyla, and I am an ENFP, and I'm here to ask my fellow ENFPs, Keyasha and Mella, Mella, yeah, woo! Questions because they also happen to be ENFPs.
There's going to be something like across the screen.
There probably will be. I'm going to ask questions to my fellow ENFPs, but we're going to just have a discussion and just talk to each other and share from our personal life experience of ENFP nature and also just life and personal opinions and such. So without further ado, let's get into it. Yeah?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I want to ask that question.
Oh, yeah. But let's talk about then, about the ENFP thing. I know I gently kind of said it, but let's talk through each of those 4 letters. How do you guys feel like? Because of course there's the 4 letters and then there's different layers, but we'll pretty much stick to just the 4 letters of ENFP or ISTJ, the opposite of those, and see where you guys are landing and just where you feel like you personally land on those spectrums. Because each with the Myers-Briggs, as you guys know that. Each of those letters, the E versus the I, are more of a spectrum, and you can land really far on the introvert side, really far on the extrovert side, somewhere along the middle somewhere, and it will really affect how you integrate with it and interact with everything. But usually you just kind of lean and have a preference for one or the other. If you all in the middle and you ain't leaning with it, then usually it means that there's some type of personality issue with it, or you're Jesus. Extrovert versus introvert, which is kind of where you get your energy from. Do you feel like you get your energy from when you're around people and others and environment and outer environment, or do you feel like you regain energy when you're by yourself in your alone time, like you recharge? Yeah.
I'm definitely an extrovert.
Like uber extrovert?
Uber.
Like, I'm an extrovert.
Extra.
She's an extra extrovert.
On the spectrum, I'm not completely extrovert. I may be a little bit before.
Yeah. So on a scale of, if 1 is introvert, not dissing you introverts, but if 1 is introvert,
a 7.
You're a 7?
She's like, I said what I said.
I said what I said.
I'm a 7 because I think there's times where being by myself is a recharge as well, because I'm around a lot of people. It could be draining after a while, and so I just need that time to just replenish. But I think in the world I was probably off the extrovert scale. I was way over there.
So you just prefer to live completely in your outer world.
Yeah, but I guess being a disciple and just learning the healthiness of because I'm an extreme person too. I'm either 100 or 0. And so
me too.
And so I think that also goes along with how I'm recharged, because I can think I need to be around people to da-da-da-da. But sometimes I just need time to myself to actually recharge because I've been pouring out a lot.
Yeah.
I think actually too, in my roles of leadership within church, I'm pouring out a lot. I lead women, I help lead the Bible talk, so it's I'm constantly pouring out, so I have to find time to pour in myself and get other people to pour in me as well. So I think even my times alone with God are recharging for me, because not that I'm getting just word to continue to pour out to other people, but I need to get word myself so I can go on my own convictions and shit with God. So I think as a disciple is a different outlook, because it's the balance is needed, in order for you to be spiritually healthy.
Right. Yeah.
I would say I'm probably 80% extrovert, 20 on the introvert side. I've definitely felt both, where I feel I need to be alone. No.
I'm thinking about that other day.
Be alone.
Well, yeah. I don't know what happened.
I'm talking about the day where you're I don't want to be around people.
Oh, yeah.
And then she goes to take a shower. She's I was in the shower and I prayed about it. Now I'm okay. She said it.
But I was alone
she was
in the
hanging
shower.
out with us.
So I was alone for a good 15 minutes.
Versus
I was I'm better now.
Versus the introvert's like, I need the whole day. And extrovert's like, 15 minutes in the shower, we're good.
Yeah, I feel like as I'm growing and maturing, I'm learning like it is important to have that time alone. Like especially for a lot of emotional processing. Oftentimes, like when I'm feeling a lot, I just want to go to people and want to tell them about it, want them to tell me what to do. But I'm learning like it's important to have that time to actually reflect and think about it, bring it to God, pray about it, versus just like constantly going to people. So like I'm learning the importance of it, but like in the same vein, I do find like when I'm spending lots of time alone, like I get sad. Or I'm way too into my thoughts.
Yeah.
And I start to overthink stuff.
There's gonna be a lot of those moments.
And then I start to overthink. I start to become anxious, and I'm like, what's going on? And it's like, oh,
I need people.
I'm like, I need some people. And
Save me from my head.
I'm like, it's too much to be alone. I can't do it.
No, but I think you guys are right about like as you mature, like you learn to like take the proper time you need as an introvert. The functional stack has a theory that like we lead with extroverted intuition, which means that we're all about exploration. So that's our driver's seat. Like we like to explore new ideas and possibilities. But in our passenger seat, in our personality, is introverted feeling. So when we're saying like we have to deal with our feelings, take some time, go pray about it, be on our own in the shower.
I'm okay.
But like
I'm a new woman now.
But like because we're extrovert, we prefer like our outer world, and so we have to learn to like how important to that time to like take 15 minutes or 20 minutes to go have some you work your feelings out, and then you can go back to the outer world. But we like to skip over that, and so over time maturing, I think, and that's my experience too. I think becoming a Christian like really helped with that because you have like, I don't know, I started doing like quiet times, you know, sitting there with the Bible, meditating, like talking to God, having scriptures, and like that forced me to like learn to like take 30 minutes a day or 15, some type of moments a day to sit by myself and talk to myself, to talk to God, to like really look at where I was. And it helped me to be able to go into the day more balanced. I know, of course, it's Jesus and the Word, you know, when it be out there doing work on your heart. But also, I think it was important for me to learn to like balance out my extrovertedness. Personally, I think on a scale of introvert to extrovert, I'm solidly extrovert. Like I'm in there. I don't know. I sometimes feel like I'm less extrovert than you in particular.
Really?
I sometimes feel it. Because I feel like you really enjoy being around people, and that might be that you're just more social than I. But I remember, like, for example, when she first came here, it was the first time I was like, someone likes the fellowship longer than I do and more than I do. And I was like, oh, she's still there. She ain't ready to go yet. And it really threw me off. But I think I'm also I really like the times alone. And I feel like in the household, like, I'll be like the one to go to my room, for example.
Yeah, you do.
Sometimes
she'll walk by and be like, you didn't even come in here and talk to me and hang out with me. And she'll be like, huh, and then go to her. What was that?
It's because like I see you coming home as like my alone time or like my time to decompress.
I'm here and she's here.
And Keyasha, by the way, likes to keep her door open. Have like, hey,
guys,
talk to people when you get home.
Your doors closed.
Me and Mella keep our doors closed a lot.
Like the times when I come home and nobody's here, I'm like, praise God. I have time to decompress.
But versus Keyasha's like, is
by
anyone
the time
home?
you get here, I'm like, I'm really good for a conversation because I'm like,
you're in the den. Get there.
I had a long day. I'm working with 1-year-olds, 20 of them at the same time.
But usually it's just like, I know I just need a moment. Like, give me a moment to
sit
sit down.
Because
Because, like, even the other day, like, came home and then, like, felt like I had my moment. And then we all ended up together talking and, like, venting about the day and getting it all out.
Yeah.
But, like, usually takes me a moment.
When I was supposed to be alone.
when you were supposed to be.
I heard them. I was like, what are you guys talking about? Wait, from, like 0 to 100%. How
Extrovert, do I think I am? I would probably say 70. Like, I definitely, it takes, because I remember one time I was like, I'm feeling too much people. I need to go home. I'm going to spend the whole day alone and just be by myself for a day. In 30 minutes, I was like, all right, I'm ready to hang out again. Let's go do something.
I can't be here alone.
And I found that, like, when I'm by myself all day, I definitely walk away acting real weird. Like, I'm a little, I
Goes
don't
into
know.
a mini depression.
Yeah, basically. And, like, when I'm around people, I get energized and excited. And so I definitely think I'm solidly in there. So at least 70-75% maybe. When I first took it, it said that I was, like, an extreme extrovert. But I don't think as much so now as I've learned the value of introvert time.
I just had a thought about something.
What?
It's funny that like you feel like you're less extroverted than me because I feel like people like looking in wouldn't think that because you're a lot more outgoing than I am, and like people like when I remember I used to think or my mom used to think I was introverted because I was shy, and I was lonely a lot.
But you're also, she's the
That
only
turtle-
child. She's also the only child. Y'all should just like that shit.
Yeah, but I had like a hard time making friends when I was younger, so I kind of believed it too. So I've spent a lot of time alone, and I know how to be alone. But I was never introverted. Like I just had a hard time connecting with people, and so my mom used to think that, and I still have like some shy tendencies now, even though I actually like being with people.
Maybe I'm more extroverted than Sam. I'll say 80.
Oh,
I'll say 80%. Yeah.
You know what's funny? Melissa's like a complete introvert, but you just would not be able to tell.
So it's not about like bubbliness.
So much intro,
Yeah.
like, so much energy, so much like, oh, how are you doing?
That's Keyasha's impersonation
Well,
of you.
she's the introverted version of our personality, so everything else is
INFP.
yeah.
Sensing versus intuitive.
Alright, the difference is.
So sensing is a lot about being in touch with your 5 senses, about being very present and practical. You live very much grounded in the present. That's kind of
Oh, really?
it. Intuitive is a lot about being like theory-based, idea, concept-based. You tend you tend to think a lot more about the future versus right. Look, I think ENFPs might have anyways, Enneagram stuff too, but also sensors tend to be a little bit more past and present focused. Just a trend I noticed, but then intuitives tend to be more present and future focused. I like to say that just intuitives tend to live like either in the clouds and like to think about brainstorming and ideas and like a lot of the hypothetical conversations we tend to have versus sensors tend to be a little bit more grounded and talking about like safety and physical things, all that. So I'm guessing you guys feel like you're pretty
absolutely present
so
to future.
I'll be honest, like one of the things that I think with Mella I was questioning was like I feel like she might be more near the center of on the sensor to intuitive scale. This is just my thought. Only because I think you're very aware, like even of your 5 senses and like, guys, she's so talented. Like she does music and visual arts and poetry, and she just has an eye for all that stuff. Holds up the Chick-fil-A thing. But she's just like very like, and a lot of artists, like those type of artists tend to be very in tune with their senses, more so than people who are on the intuitive side. So even if you're an intuitive, I was like, I feel like you have stronger abilities.
I think when it comes to my career and the things that I do, and maybe that, but like when it comes to the things I desire on a more relational piece, it may be intuitive.
What do you mean?
So like kind of like what you were saying. It's like I'm aware because I feel like, you know, going back to being a disciple, and I think my gifts are not used as what they were used for in the world. And I've been taking the time to really seek after God's will for the gifts that He's given me, like, and the purpose it is used for, and that becoming clearer for me helps me to be more grounded in what they're used for.
Right.
But I think as far as like my relationships and my desire for romantic relationships, it's like I see what's happened presently, but this is what I want to happen in the future. And so I think that's where the anxiety comes in, because it's like you don't know what you don't know.
You got anxiety too?
Yeah.
And you can't control.
We all got anxiety.
Oh my gosh.
Anxiety.
So I think on one side is when it comes to my gifts, I can see that, you know, but like when it comes to just like processing my emotions, or, you know, when it comes to my desire for romantic relationships, or even my desire for friendships, like I can be more like present, future thinking.
Yeah.
Like I see what's happened presently, but I don't know what's because then that's the thing that gives me anxiety is like the vulnerability aspect.
Yeah.
You know, because I think there's a lot of friendships that I've had in the past that I no longer have now, and I was vulnerable in those states, and so it's like this constant fear of like, if I get too open, you know, then they may leave me, type that abandonment type issue. And so I think, but it's less of that now. It's just more of like, okay, whoever God places in my life in whatever season that I'm in is the friendship that I need, versus like, oh, I'm trying to hold on to this friendship because I really, really, really appreciate you, but like that person was only for a season, or that person was only there for a reason. Like not everybody is gonna shift with you in different seasons of your life. Sometimes you'll leave them behind, but then they'll come back around. You know, it just depends. So I just like trusting God in that aspect. Like it shouldn't stop me from being vulnerable with the people that I'm building with currently, just because of my fear of losing them. So it's like, I think when it comes to relationships, friendships, or the desire for romantic relationships, is present, future. When it comes to my gifts and my career, it's probably past, present.
I kind of understand, I think, but there is an idea or like a theory that because intuitives are less common than sensors in the world, that intuitives, what's interesting about like the way you might develop in relationships is that intuitives tend to try to, they're taught to suppress their intuition a bit more because sensing is more common. Mm-hmm. So it's like intuitives are the minority in a way. In the same way that introverts have for a while been told that they shouldn't, you know, extroversion, like the world pushes towards extroversion, in the same way was how they were doing with sensing. And so there's a lot of like trying to uplift intuitives. So I think it's interesting too that like as an intuitive learning to use sensing gifts and things like that, or things that are a little bit more more aware with your senses and practicing those things, you know. Same way in which like I might be practicing being more aware of my body as a Christian, you know, versus I didn't really care before, I wasn't paying attention, but now I'm trying to love my temple, things like that.
Something I was thinking about, so I was reading like an article, I posted on Facebook, but about like HSPs, or highly sensitive people, and you know, I would think like someone who is highly sensitive is more in tune with their senses. And I could relate to like a lot of the things on that list, and that has to do with information that you're taking in from your five senses. But at the same time, I still relate to, you know, the intuition and being like future-minded and thinking of like theories and ideas. So I don't know if that makes me more towards the center or not, because at the same time, I do take a lot from my environment, and, you know, in that way too. So I don't know.
All right, angels of Abernathy. Guys, we're gonna call it a wrap. Thank you, Key. Thank you, Mel, for hopping in here with me and representing the ENFP lifestyle out here on these YouTube streets. So
Do you have streets?
I think so.
Sidewalks too, bro.
Yeah, you better get out here. So thank you guys for watching. This is going to be a multiple part series. It's a part of the ENFP Ask series, but this will be broken up into different parts. So if you want to see more, click up here and you'll be able to check out some videos. If you want to see some other stuff, there'll be something here, and subscribe down here, and you'll be able to watch more of this face and possibly these faces because I live with them and I like them a lot. So subscribe and press like and comment because we can start a conversation. Yes. And I'll see you guys next time when we make another video. Bye. You gotta keep it now.
No.
Bye.